right, welcome to Drill Down, the business stories behind stocks on the move. I'm Cory Johnson with episode number 249. This is the big drill down, the whole thing. Lots of companies, CEO interview. We got it all, including Crowdstrike. What's working with cybersecurity? They're going to tell us. And Lululemon manages its way through inventory shortages of the hottest accessory in fashion. And a fascinating conversation with Elastic CEO Ash Kulkarni about bringing AI-powered search to every business. But first, it's sponsor time.
The Drill Down is brought to you by Braintrust, a global talent network that matches highly skilled technical freelancers with the world's most reputable brands. Braintrust has helped clients like Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, Porsche, Under Armour, and more build agile tech teams fast, at a fraction of the cost. Visit Braintrust.com, that's BRAINTRUST.com to learn more, and get 20% off if you use our link, Braintrust.com/drilldown.
I'm Futurum's Chief Market Strategist, Cory Johnson. Welcome to the Drill Down, where we explain the business stories behind stocks on the move. Joining me as always, Ben Wilson from fabulous Portland, Oregon.
Fabulous Portland, Oregon, where the sky is blue and it's sunny, and we don't get to tell people about the weather this time of year. They'll want to move here. It's fantastic.
It is fantastic up in the Pacific Northwest this time of year. I'm here in San Francisco in the Ferry Building at Shack 15, and the weather's fabulous here too.
Love it. Excited to hear what you have to say today, Cory. So what stocks are you drilling down on today?
Well, let's start with Crowdstrike.
Crowdstrike. Trades with the ticker CRWD, market cap about $85 billion. Shares are up 11% in the last week, but had a great last 12 months. Shares are up 130%. So what's the story with Crowdstrike?
So Crowdstrike is one of the dominant companies in cybersecurity, and they peddle, if you will, a holistic approach to monitoring all things in cybersecurity. Cybersecurity companies come up with two types. They're the companies like Palo Alto Networks and CrowdStrike, which try to sell you everything in a box solution and monitor all kinds of cyber threats. And then there are the companies that have sort of individual solutions that solve particular problems particularly well. They don't always say that. They say they can do everything, but there are the little fixes, and there's a fix for everything. CrowdStrike says they've got a fix for everything. And that fix for everything gave them $921 million in revenues, which were up 33% on a year-over-year basis in the quarter that they announced in the last week. And what was notable about that to me was that that not only is really strong growth, 33% on a pretty big number already, it's about what it was the previous quarter. So the steady slowdown in growth that we've seen from this company seems to have abided, and they're doing all right. Now, one of the things that they've focused on, as I mentioned, is this SIM, or Security Information Event Management, which is a security solution that lets the companies that buy their products identify potential security threats and vulnerabilities across all their systems by logging data and giving them security alerts and all of the events that are happening from a cyber threat basis, all at one system. And what they've found is that as they improve that system, and they put a lot of money into the R&D here, they found that they can sort of continue to offer their customers the same front end, but give them lots of new information in the back end about the new cyber threats that emerge, and so that the product is able to not change as it shifts in the use cases across different big businesses. Here's CEO George Kurtz, who's a friend of the show, has been on the show in the past, so we love George Kurtz, but here he is explaining how there are so many use cases all for the same platform.
We have various use cases for the platform. So we may have a customer that comes to us and says, hey, we're using a legacy SIM, we want something better, right? We may have a new prospect that says the same thing. We're using a legacy SIM and we want to explore what CrowdStrike can offer us. We have plenty of new customers that come to us and say, hey, we need a better solution on our cloud because what we have is not working or it doesn't give us the full spectrum of capabilities. So we can land with something specific to that customer's use case, and that's a lot of times they're looking for something that they need to solve immediately. And of course, we're selling the value of the platform. So whether it's an existing customer or a new one, we're focused on delivering the full value of the platform, but solving their use cases today and into the future, and obviously consolidating on what they have in place in terms of legacy. You heard some of the incredible stats, and delivering more value at a lower cost.
So it's a tough time for the cybersecurity companies right now. Palo Alto Networks put up a pretty lousy quarter, Ben, in terms of the growth rate on the heels of a not great quarter before that. And the question was, are big businesses only spending in AI and pulling back on spending in software? We saw that with Salesforce results that weren't strong. Pulling back on cybersecurity, we saw that from Palo Alto Networks, but we did not see that from CrowdStrike. I think that's what's so interesting about this quarter.
That is interesting. And it fascinates me. I may not be understanding this correctly, but even though the growth rate has slowed, it's still growing, right? We're not worried about this company going down. That seems like a positive in this age where people are concerned about the growth of security companies.
Yeah, 100%. And I shouldn't have said 100% because it's only 33%. But hell yeah is what I meant to say, because 33% growth is fantastic for a very big business already.
That's how I see it. Cory, what's your next drill down?
I want to look at Lululemon. Wait, did that sound weird? Let me take that. Oh, well, let me just say, let's look at the business of Lululemon as we learned about it this quarter just reported.
Lululemon Athletica trades with the ticker LULU, Lulu, with a market cap of about $391 billion. Shares are up 4% in the last week, but for the last 12 months, shares are down 9%. What's the story with Lululemon Athletica?
So Lulu reported, I'm going to call it Lulu because I'm hip like that. Solid growth in revenues, 10% growth to $2.2 billion in a quarter, and that was better than Wall Street expected, whatever. Earnings per share also doing really well. In retailers, we talk about comp sales, so you can add lots of stores to grow revenues, but it doesn't really tell you how the stores are doing once they've been around for a while. And comparable sales in stores are open more than Europe, 6%, but international markets, they saw really great growth, 25%. Sales in the Americas were flat for the quarter, and one of the issues was inventory. So, and I don't want to forget that they also announced a share repurchase program of $1 billion, so they've got a lot of money to spend buying back their own stock, but buying back their own stock of securities, I should say, because the stock of the stuff in the store wasn't always what they wanted to be, specifically around the Everywhere belt bag. Ben, do you have an Everywhere belt bag?
I don't have an Everywhere belt bag, and I don't even necessarily wear a belt everywhere, so.
Those are different problems. This is definitely not supposed to be called a fanny pack.
Good to know.
If I look at the Everywhere belt bag, I see a fanny pack. But the Everywhere belt bag is one of the hottest accessories in all of fashion, and Lululemon could not keep them in stock. And when I did my hard research for this podcast, this webcast here, I went online and looked, what's the Everywhere belt bag? What's it look like? And I found video review after people online going on and on and on about the Everywhere belt bag. I went to talk to some of the women here at Shack 15 today in preparation for the show and asked them about the Everywhere belt bag, and they were like, oh yeah, that's a thing. Everyone knows the Everywhere belt bag. But Lululemon couldn't keep them in the store, and they couldn't chase after enough inventory to put them back in the store. And so they missed a lot of sales because they couldn't manage the supply of the Everywhere belt bag. So when the CEO was asked about that in their quarterly conference call, he talked about the Everywhere belt bag and how the experience of that has them in other bags, like their new two-tone bags that they're out there with, being able to manage that and offer them, when they get back into stock, connect with the customer, offer it to the customer who might want that, so that she'll come in the store and buy the Everywhere belt bag or whatever they've got. Chasing after that inventory is what they see now as a core ability. Here's the CEO talking about that.
We just didn't have the depth of inventory to satisfy the demand that could have offset some of the headwind of the Everywhere belt bag success last year. That is something we can control. We know the newness is resonating, and the guest is moving beyond just an Everywhere belt bag. And we have opportunity, and the teams have been chasing into that and expect to be in a better in-stock position in the back half. The two-tone bag is a good example of that. Sold out almost immediately. We were able to chase, bring some in, offer it as a Essentials member, early access. It again sold and did incredibly well, and we continue to chase into that.
So that was Calvin McDonald talking to financial analysts about how they're not going to screw this thing up going forward, making sure they've got the stuff they need when the customers want it.
People are sure talking about it. That counts for something, right?
Look, it's a hot product, and this is a problem I face when I'm trading stocks. Right, when I get it right, I don't have enough, and when I get it wrong, I had too much, and thus is the problems of a fashion retailer as well.
Cory, what's your next drill down?
Hewlett Packard Enterprises.
Hewlett Packard Enterprise trades with the ticker HPE with a market cap of about $26 billion. Shares were up 13% in the last week, but for the last 12 months, shares are up 26%. So what's the story with Hewlett Packard Enterprise?
Yeah, another friend of the show, I mentioned George Kurtz earlier, was on the show. Antonio Neri, the CEO of Hewlett Packard Enterprise, has also been on our show, and we're grateful to him for that. It's such an interesting company because it's a very big company selling lots of expensive gear. Some of it's really hot right now, and some of it's not. So their intelligent edge stuff, which is essentially networking gear, not doing well. Revenue's down 19% in the quarter. But their server business, their biggest business, $3.9 billion in the quarter, 18% revenue growth. And within that, their AI stuff is doing so well. Nearly $1 billion, $900 million worth of AI systems sold in the quarter, almost double from what they did about 18 months ago. And specifically, some of the stuff that they've been doing to cool their systems for years and inventing ways to cool very hot semiconductors and hot devices in the data center. They've spent decades on patents and inventions for that, over 300 patents in their portfolio. So as these systems get really hot, and the chips, the semiconductors go from small to some of these NVIDIA semiconductors are this big. There are semiconductors coming to market that are the size of an entire wafer from a few startups out there. Those things can peak and send off tons and tons of heat. And the fans that used to power data centers or used to suck up the power in data centers to cool these things just aren't sufficient enough, and the power is getting more expensive. So liquid cooling is the future, and it's happening right now with HPE systems. And that's why they were able to drive so much business this quarter, because they're really leveraging all the patents that they've developed over all the years, over 300 patents at HPE in liquid cooling. Here's what Antonio Neri had to say, the CEO of Hewlett Packard Enterprises, on the conference call this week.
I will summarize it on 4 key elements. One is our ability to deliver and run systems at scale, so AI systems scale. That's a unique expertise, and we have decades of experience. Number 2 is our infrastructure cooling intellectual property. We actually have all the IP necessary to cool systems in 3 different ways, for that matter. Our manufacturing footprint, which is very unique. We have one of the largest water-cooled manufacturing footprints in the world, with 2 very important locations in the US and in Europe, which are close to customers. And then last but not least is services. What I think people are coming to realize that running the system at scale requires unique services capabilities.
So I've talked to a lot of people in the field about this, Ben, in the last few weeks, and because of the ESG goals and mandates for so many of these companies that are building data centers, they want to find ways to do it in an efficient way, to use less power, and yet to deliver these fantastic results. When an AI data center can be used, let me put it a different way. There's one study out that says that a certain amount of data, when it's used for search, might use 1 megawatt of power or something over the course of a month. It might be 10x that, 10 times that when you're doing AI search. And as a result, it runs so much hotter, and the cooling needs are so much greater in a world of AI.
Yeah, Cory, it seems like HPE has put itself into a pretty good position there, and it's prepared for a fast-growing industry.
Finally, after all these years of HP's struggles, we'll have to find someone else to beat up. I guess we've still got it. No, even IBM's fixed themselves. I don't know what world I'm living in right now. The companies that I used to beat up on forever are doing so well. I'm happy for Antonio Neri and HPE. Hey, I'm also happy for Elastic. We're going to talk to the CEO, Ash Kulkarni. I caught up with him. I was actually at home. We had to do an early morning call, and I was not in the office. But we had a really interesting conversation about the ways that they're bringing search and AI search, machine learning search, to massive databases that are held in private sort of stashes by lots of companies out there that want to offer up search and AI tools in ways they never have before because of AI using Elastic. We're going to talk about that right after this.
The Drill Down is brought to you by Era. Never miss another critical event or insight ever. With Era, customize your company watch list and track key events, mentions, filings, and more, all within an easy-to-use, customizable interface. That's Era, AIERA.com.
All right, welcome back to the Drill Down Podcast. Rich Shea Johnson, and we've got Ash Kulkarni, the CEO of Elastic. Really interesting company that almost everyone who's on the internet, which is almost everyone, deals with every day and doesn't know it. So Ash, I'm glad to have you. I want to talk about what the business does, and then I want to talk about kind of where we are at this moment and then get to AI, but maybe just kind of start high level. What problem does Elastic solve now?
Yeah, Cory. So we describe ourselves as a search AI company. And what we do is, we bring the precision of search and the intelligence of AI together and help companies, big and small, government agencies all around the world, to get insights out of their private data in real time. And just to give you some examples, if you are a company that is in e-commerce, you need your users when they come to their website to be able to find the products that you're selling. And typically, users are used to searching for things. So when you go to, Home Depot's website or Walmart's website and you're searching for products, it's Elastic behind the scenes. At the same time, there are, lots of cybersecurity professionals who are looking for threats within their environment. And that entire area is often known as security analytics or SIM. And that involves searching, sifting through all kinds of machine logs, identity and access management logs, all kinds of messy information that you need to correlate and look through and search through. And that's the kind of use case that Elastic is known for. So mid-sized company, we just finished our fiscal 24. We reported over 1.2 billion in revenue, growing.
Strong quarter.
Yeah,
revenue
indeed.
reaccelerating. We like to see that.
Absolutely. It grew 20% year over year. Elastic Cloud grew 32% year over year. So very happy with the progress that we're making.
So when did you add the description AI into the name? And I don't mean that in a pejorative way. There are companies throwing the word AI into businesses that have nothing to do with AI or very little to do with AI. You guys have been using machine learning and artificial intelligence since the very beginning. And I wonder how you felt about using AI to describe the company, if you even resisted it at first.
Yeah, the conversation that we had internally was not whether or not AI fits in naturally, because like you said, we've been using it and working on it for 9+ years now. The question was, when you think about analytics, because we used to often talk about search and search analytics, the future of analytics is all around AI. And that's what led us to making that change. Because if you think about the process of analytics, in the past, a lot of it was human driven. And what you're seeing now is the machine, AI systems, being able to do it for you. And through that, improve your processes, make them more efficient. And that's how we came to the name, and it just made natural sense. And our customers and users are finding it to be absolutely accurate.
I wonder, I think that the notions of using a large language model and the vectorization of a large language model is starting to be understood. You guys have done similar things for a long time, which is sort through mountains of data, figure out how to sort through mountains of data and how to present that data, infer from that data, if you will, and been using these sort of private sets of data for a long time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the way this all fits together is, what we are known for is, we've always been known for search. And search is about finding relevant information very, very quickly in real time from all kinds of messy, unstructured information. And that relevance, that precision, when you look at it in the context of large language models and AI, the way this works is large language models have been trained on all the open public information that's on the internet. So they have scoured the internet, tried to suck in all of that information.
And that's kind of done.
Models. Well, they don't have any context of your private information, right? So if you ask ChatGPT a question about, what are the 10 most beautiful places in the world, it's probably going to give you some information based on reviews that people have posted online, etc. But now, if you are a travel company and somebody comes to your website and says, recommend the 5 most interesting places, you don't want to give them 5 random recommendations. You want to give them 5 recommendations where you have services, where you can give them an offer, a sale, something they can take. Now, that means connecting your private information to that large language model, bridging that context. And that requires, a platform like Elastic. And that's where we are seeing amazing traction right now.
Yeah, I'm curious about, I cover so many companies that report earnings, and so many great big companies are seeing slowing earnings growth as law of large numbers. It just happens. We saw it with Salesforce get into single-digit growth despite lots of acquisitions. You guys felt, as I recall, 19% year-over-year growth in 2 quarters ago, and then the quarter you just reported last week jumps to 20%. That's going the right direction, and I wonder what's changing on the customer side to make that possible now.
Well, there are 2 phenomena that I've talked about. But the first is that generative AI is taking up a lot of mind share, which for us is a great thing, because every company out there, every business leader out there is trying to think about how they can use generative AI in general, to make various business processes better, improve workflows, make their employees more efficient, deliver better experiences to their customers. So that obviously becomes a pretty significant spending priority. The second is, as you think about the overall environment, it's still very cost conscious. There's no CIO that I've met in the last year who has told me that, hey, it's back to the go-go days and spending is up to the top and right. Everyone is trying to figure out how they can take advantage of AI. They can do all the things that we're just talking about, but do it within the spending envelopes that they have, which means they're looking for other places where they need to reduce their spend. The way
and we're
we
seeing
are
that from lots of other companies. You didn't see it this quarter.
Right. Yeah, but the way we are approaching it is, because of our platform, we are able to do a whole bunch of things. We're able to help you with your security use cases, with your observability use cases, the search use cases. So our value proposition is to bring those use cases onto our platform, and we are displacing incumbents. We are actually taking share in this market. Every time there are changes of this sort, those are the opportunities that get presented. We are leaning in, and we are the beneficiaries of it.
It's a super interesting time. I also wonder if customers know what they're asking for now when because they're thinking about what AI means. And so a solution that Elastic might have always had might finally click with them.
You're spot on. I think part of what's going on is people are truly
That's one in a row
starting
for
to
me.
appreciate.
It's one in a row.
I think you're absolutely right in this. Like, it's what's happened is, once ChatGPT came out, people started to realize that there's a completely new and tremendously exciting way to approach information, right? Information retrieval, trying to get the value out of this vast exabytes of data that we keep storing every day. And that has now given them a reason to go and explore techniques that let them do that. And Elastic, we've been in this area for a long time. There's so much data that customers have already put on Elastic. It's a natural extension for them to go, oh, let me use this now for solving all these AI use cases. And so it's, the way I think about it is, we invested early, we invested ahead, we were ahead of the curve, and now we are, trying to really capture as much share as possible, given the position that we're in.
As part of our, our podcast is owned by Futurum Group, and 6.5 Media is part of that as well. 6.5 Media is doing a conference, virtual conference called 6.5 Summit. And I interviewed somebody for that with this fascinating idea about data, saying if we're going to build data centers and we're using so much power, not if we're going to, as we build data centers and as we use so much more power, we have to reduce the amount of data that is going into these. We need to get rid of useless data. We need to toss out old information. And I thought that's so antithetical to my notion of hoarding data, hoping that it will someday have value. And I wonder, from someone who's been in the business of mining data and private databases, for lack of a better word, for a long time, what your notion is as to how we save the right data and how we save data that might later find itself useful.
Yeah, I think the most important aspect about data is it needs to be exploitable in some way by the business that owns it, right? So if you're a business that's generating all this data, if you have it just stored somewhere and it's not of any value because you're not, inspecting it, you're not trying to understand if it's helping you learn anything about, security attacks that you might be under, it's not helping you improve your systems, your processes, it's not helping you improve your customer experience, then it just becomes a compliance checkbox, and it's not really adding true value to your business. And you see a lot of that with a lot of these lakes out there where, you dump data in a lake and nobody knows what the heck you threw in there. Nobody knows what to do about it. So it's wasted cost in every way. Our approach is different. The way we think about it is all data needs to be searchable. If you can achieve that, then the next goal needs to be, make that a cheaper and cheaper effort through better compression, through ways in which you can organize that data such that you take the data that's of highest value, have it be readily accessible. Everything else you put on cold storage where it's cheap. It doesn't take up as much compute intensity. Like, these are the techniques that we are all going to have to get better at if we want to not only take advantage of all of this information, but do it in a way that doesn't just cripple us in terms of costs.
I was thinking when I had to do the interview, I'm thinking now of when I used to work at Bloomberg, and I would try to go back and find videos of things that I'd shot, interviews that I'd shot, and I came to find out that some data person somewhere trying to save money on server space had made the default, whenever you recorded any interview of any kind, it would be deleted in 60 days automatically. And here you had this treasure trove of information of CEOs and economists and world leaders saying important things that might be worth preserving for a long time, and all of it automatically being deleted because some data monkey decided it should be tossed.
Yeah, the way I think about it is everything that we create at the end of the day is history, and we human beings are always searching for something, right? It might sound like a philosophical thing, but it's true. We're always searching for something, and our history has tremendous meaning and importance. And so discarding data should only be done if you have no way to truly take advantage of that data. But if there is a way to take advantage of that data, then the goal should be to reduce the cost. Use technology to find ways to minimize the cost. And even with AI, by the way, that's happening. The CPU cycles that were needed for these inference processes, as they're called, that these large language models run, the cost of that has been going down because of the technological advances that are happening. And this is like the early days of the internet, the early days of cloud computing. Costs will come down, energy requirements will come down, things will become more efficient. I don't think the answer is to do something just that's backwards, like let's just toss away all of our information. I don't think that's going to do good for anybody.
Ash Kulkarni is the CEO of Elastic. Ash, thank you for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, coming up next in the Drill Down to Bytes, one number that tells us a whole lot, right after this.
The Drill Down is brought to you by Futurum Group, where analysts, researchers, advisors, content creators, and marketing experts help business leaders anticipate and understand shifts in their industries and build strategies to leverage disruptive innovation. With deep analysis, Futurum Group's extensive industry experience delivers reliable research and data, thought leadership, and actionable advice to help you with your strategy and go-to-market efforts. Futurum Group.
So we are back with the Drill Down Byte, the one number that tells us a whole lot. Ben Wilson with me as well, of course. And I'm back in different clothes and back in my office. But yes, here we are. Ben, I've got a number here that's going to blow your mind if you can even wrap your mind around it. So Elastic likes to talk about how much data is out there and how much data is being created. And it's so much more than ever before. And specifically, and here's the number, 480 exabytes of data will be created every day by 2025. What is an exabyte of data? I don't know, but an exabyte is the same as 1 billion terabytes or 1,000 petabytes is 1 exabyte. Every single day, that much data will be created. So the opportunity to mine that data and search that data and give people the information that they want is kind of the promise of search and AI, and Elastic's putting themselves in a position to deliver that.
At a certain point, a number that large is hard to wrap your mind around, but people probably said that about gigabytes not that long ago.
They did. I'm old. I remember. Exabytes. 480 exabytes. Just amazing. All right, well, you've been listening to Drill Down Earnings, or Drill Down, I should say. Thank you very much for listening to Drill Down. Follow us on the socials. You can find us on X at Cory TV, at Drill Down Pod on, we're at Drill Down Pod also on X, and on TikTok, and on Instagram, and at the Futurum Group's YouTube page. All kinds of great stuff about tech, Drill Down Earnings, and lots more. Follow us, like us, dislike us if you must, subscribe, comment. We do want to hear from you. Drill Down Earnings, part of 6.5 Media.